on to the next question, and it says, my question for you is, do you feel silence can heal and resolve physical issues? My intuition says yes, but I don't know if that's just wishful thinking. So there's a number of things I want to say here, and I'm going to sort of preface that a little bit. The ultimate answer to that question, the infinite silence, the infinite awareness, the infinite consciousness, is just like that word, is infinite and therefore infinitely powerful. And since everything stems from that and returns to that, it therefore follows that even that which we call the physical domain can be resolved and dissolved by that, which means that yes, it is possible for physical issues to be resolved by that. Like I've said on many a stream, it's not about believing anything I say about this. It's about coming to this realization for yourself. Now, we need to go a bit further because there may be many reasons why physical illnesses, manifestations, issues occur, but at their root will be spiritual, mental, emotional, physical causes that are the basis of that physical manifestation. And there could be many reasons why that is in place in your life right now, whether it's something that's developed over time. And all of these issues, whether they be mental, emotional, physical, are indicators from the perfect system of the body-mind to communicate something that is out of balance in your life. And therefore, there's something that needs to be listened to. They're like a messenger. Now, I've seen and witnessed many a miracle over time. I've actually helped people, friends in the USA and so forth, actually look at even cancerous tumours from the space of awareness and completely and utterly dissolve those. That has happened. I've seen that, and many other examples. It may be still relatively rare for such a miracle, so to speak, to occur, but it is possible. It is possible, and again, you don't have to believe me on that. There are people that I know that would testify to that experience. All of the physical manifestations, though, that we experience, they're all here for a reason. We might believe that it's this, you know, if you sort of come at it from different angles, this is some kind of punishment or whatever. It's not that. There is always some underlying reason behind whatever's presenting. Now, obviously, if somebody's born into life with some physical conditions, well, you might say, well, why has that happened? Now, we need to then look at life in a bigger picture, because although there is a physical manifestation here now, in truth, the journey of our life is one of many lifetimes. And again, this is a whole other subject, and you don't need to believe me. And that process carries forward through to each lifetime, and there may be reasons that are not immediately obvious as to why things are manifest in the way that they are in our physical life now, and there may be some reason behind that is communicating something. These things, from an ultimate level, are neither right nor wrong, but they are a kind of messenger. And if you just using that cancer example again, I've heard so many stories of this now that, you know, obviously it isn't something that you would wish upon anybody. Well, I've seen endless examples of where people have gone through that, and those fortunate enough to come through the other side of that have all said something like, actually, or many have said, not all said, many have said, actually it was the best thing that could have happened to me because it completely made me re-evaluate my life. So there could be many reasons for these physical manifestations. And yes, whilst awareness is possible to address all of it, it is infinitely powerful. That does not mean that we should not seek medical help. If you just had a road accident, a car crash, and you're there injured lying on the road, it's a good idea to get in that ambulance and go to hospital. All of this is part of consciousness. None of it is separate. So, yes, whilst these miracles are possible, there may be cases where we turn to traditional and conventional medicine to help ourselves. It's very, very important that we take a practical approach to this, as well as being open to the infinite power within. And in fact, actually, I was reminded of this story. You've probably all heard a version of this story, but it's very relevant to this situation and a question that can come up. So I'll share the story and then I'll point out what we're looking at here spiritually speaking, because people have used these stories in many ways, but I'm going to use it from a self-realization perspective. So the story goes is that there is a flood occurring in this village, and there's a gentleman at his house, and the flood waters are rising rapidly. And a canoe comes along, and the waters are surrounding the house now, and the person in the canoe says to the man in the house, "Come on, you better get in, this flood's going to get bigger. You need to escape now." And the gentleman in the house says, no, God will save me. So off goes the canoeist, and then a little while later, a boat comes along, and the floodwaters are now sort of pretty much well up the sort of top part of the house, and the man in the boat says, "You better come in, you know, you're not going to escape unless you get in the boat." And the man now on the top floor of his house says, no, God will save me. Floodwaters rise higher and higher, and the guy ends up having to climb onto the roof of his house, and he's literally clinging on. He's almost he's on the ridge of the house, and a helicopter comes along, and the helicopter puts down the winch and says, "Climb up, you know, you're going to get drowned if you don't." He says, no, God will save me. Anyway, he doesn't get on the helicopter. He dies in the flood, goes to heaven, and meets God. And he says to God, "Why didn't you save me?" He says, "Well, as I recall, I sent a canoe, a boat, and a helicopter, and you refused them all. What else do you expect?" Now, I don't use the word God very often, as I've explained on previous streams, because the word is loaded, and depending on where you are in the world, it could mean many different things to many different people, and also over different periods of time. God equals infinite awareness, equals infinite silence, equals true essence, equals source, equals the universe in my language and in the context of spiritual self-realization. So for the story, although I use the word God, read infinite awareness. And for the canoe, the boat, the helicopter, these are the practical tools. And in the case of, you know, urgent and serious physical conditions, then this would be conventional medicine. It has a role, it has a purpose. It's all part of the grand plan and grand scheme of consciousness. So it's important for us to embrace what's here, and we will use those tools until and such times as we go beyond all of that. Yes, miracles are possible, of course, I've seen them. There's even, stories of people I know, and one of those was the cancer one I just talked to you about there, that have guided through that process. But relatively speaking, that's still relatively rare. And that's in part because of the state of consciousness that we're coming from. So the short answer to the question, yes, it's possible, but all the great gifts we have within our grasp, then we should embrace them. So hopefully that has been useful. I think it was Rosemary that asked that question. Yeah, so when Marianne saying when I left my victim identity behind, my fibromyalgia was, yes, it was less of an issue for you. Good. Okay, and Blossom's affirming that to do with a friend who had fibromyalgia as well. And I think many people would say similar things as they deepen into awareness. The physical issues start to become less. It may not be that the physical condition completely disappears. It is possible, but there may be other reasons for that to do with our journey to self-realization. So we don't need to get attached or identified with that. What we're opening to is the infinite awareness.
To integrate and profoundly deepen your spiritual journey, use the other resources and the 2022 live stream self-realization program, all on Insight Timer.